Today, I've been joined by an extremely special guest who you'll know from the channel and from elsewhere on YouTube and on a very big kind of independent store channel. It's Kris Barocsi. He's back. Welcome.
Yay! Hey, Rich, how you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. Thanks very much for joining me again. You have stuff to talk about, so there's a specific reason why I've invited you on, but how are you doing, first off?
I'm doing great. As mentioned before we hit record, it's summer vibes. It's a lot of sweating right now as well, but had some vacation happening, so had some family trips and everything, so totally re-energized. Feel really, really good, actually. And just a couple of weeks after releasing the album, which is, I guess, what you tried to hint.
That was my very subtle hint, yes.
My subtle
Check
hint,
it out,
yes.
everybody. Kris has a new album out. It's a solo record, and I think it's amazing. I'm a huge fan of music and collecting vinyl records, as I always have been. And when someone who's a genuine friend makes a record, finally, then that is worth talking about. And I think a lot of people who are going to be watching this channel are going to be interested in kind of how you did it, what you decided to do, the process behind it, the challenges, the bits that were easy, the bits that were hard. And I know that you've done videos already on your channel where you talked about this a lot, but I've got a few slightly different questions that I would also ask you. I'll link to your videos down there as well for everybody else. But today it's all about Ego Town. And maybe we can actually just start with the title. I mean, obviously, knowing you, Ego Town, that's where you live every single day, right? How did you come up with a title like that?
Oh yeah, I love myself so much. I have mirrors everywhere around me.
Such an arrogant guy. Not.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point starting there, because I was thinking about like how should I even call it? Is there like a main subject, something that connects, like a link between the songs, or just something that holds the whole thing together? And yeah, it's unfortunately clearly something that is in most of the songs, most of the lyrics. Not all, luckily, but this was pretty much my private therapy session for myself, really, especially the lyrics. The music just came. I don't even know how ideas come. I just feel like this is something that I like playing and like listening to. And if it's the same the next day, I'll stick to that section and try to make an actual song out of it. But in terms of lyrics, it's tough, because I'm not an author. I'm not a man of words, really. I barely speak English, to be frank. And I was like, okay, I don't want to make an instrumental album, but if I say something, if I write a single word, I want to say something. I don't just want to fake words together like a pop song, where it's like, it doesn't matter what's it all about. It's like, it's about partying, or it's about girls, or it's about drinking, it's like, no, that's not worth my or anyone else's time. And at least that's how I see music. So I was trying to dig deep into what my worries are, what keeps me going, what I love, what disgusts me, all those things that actually matter and are on my mind more or less often, but like currently on my mind. So that's really what the title is trying to hold together, or tries to hold together all the songs as a concept. It's I think the biggest illness of humanity, just being way too busy with gathering something, right? Just gathering stuff, which will make you poor, or gathering power, which is the least healthy of all the gathering types. Gathering whatever, just to feel more important than others in whichever way is such. That's the main power holding us back from evolving from being freaking monkeys to being something more, I don't know, not even worthy, because monkeys are at this point better for this planet than we are. But you know what I mean, like trying to evolve and trying to use our intelligence in some sort of a human fashion. And yeah, that's kind of suffering right now. At least that's how I see it. If you look at anything, whether it's politics or just the smaller picture, it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree on many of those points. And with the ego thing, like I said before you gave your answer, you're not an arrogant guy by any means, shape, or form. But when it comes to writing an album, you are writing about yourself. It's deeply personal. It's your experiences, how you see the world, how you see what's going on in the world, and so on. And in that sense, it is a deeply kind of egoistic thing because you're telling the world your story and you're bearing your soul in a way as well, right? So in that sense, you're naked before the world, and ego comes into that, right? Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. I don't wanna, act like I am not like that. Everyone has that a little bit, or a little more. It's that's not the issue. I guess it's also important in order to have a healthy image of yourself and like a healthy way of dealing with your life and with stuff around you, with your surroundings. If you don't love yourself, it's tough to love others, if you know what I mean. It's like it all has to be in balance. And you're right, it's a very personal thing, and there's a lot of ego in every musician and every artist and every celebrity and every person that's in front of some sort of a crowd. Right? If it's just the loudest person in the family, or someone who's a public figure, there's ego involved. It's what it is. It's just a matter of how you deal with your surroundings and how important you are for yourself compared to others. That's where this balance kind of falls on the wrong side. At least how I see it. Nowadays, a bit more than maybe ever, but I don't know. I've not been here 300 years ago, so I don't know how it was. I could imagine, all the royal people being pretty full of themselves back then. So I don't think it changed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we have democracy now, but there are still challenges from every system that we currently live under. But you said you've not been around for 300 years, but when it comes to Guitar Gear YouTube, I consider you one of the OGs. Like, you've been around. I think I watched a video recently where you said you've been taking it seriously for about 6+ years now. So you've been doing it a lot. And I think there is so much killer original music that's always come out from your channel that quite a few people will have been waiting for you to do this personal solo album process. So how did kind of that idea come into reality, and when did you realize, okay, now I'm ready, now I'm going to make a record?
That is, I think, the key moment. A lot of us just push this and sort of roll this, in front, like, oh no, not today, maybe tomorrow. It's a little too tough. I'm not ready. I'm not sure if I can pull it off. Let's do it next week or next year or whenever I have more time. That's what I've been doing for, I don't know, probably 10 years or longer. The thing is that I don't see myself as a YouTuber or an influencer, even though technically that's what we are. The problem is that this has such a bad reputation for a good reason. Because if you look at all the beauty influencers, selling anything that comes in their way and they get a good invoice for it, like a proper big sum for, which is something that puts a stamp on this whole term YouTuber or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But I see myself as a guitar player. I'm not one of those entertainers, like the Paul Davids or Rick Beatos of this world who can just tell a story and you just sit there with a coffee and just listen to them talk. It's like, there's a nice line to the whole thing and they use the right words and there's enough depth in it, but not too much. It's like, I'm not, that kind of person who would sit in front of a crowd in a university and just be the best, teacher or whatever. I'm a guitar player and I love gear and I love guitar sounds and I love messing around with guitars and, modding them and setting them up and figuring out stuff. And I love to share that. That's all that I think people find interesting in my content, that kind of side, the nerdy side. And because I wrote all these intro songs as a practice, I forced myself to write an intro song for pretty much every song that I I have on the channel for years now. And all these snippets, it's like, 40 seconds to 1.5 minutes long little song snippets or song pieces. And I got a lot of positive reaction to those, which is, first of all, amazing, and I feel very humbled. But also it was kind of a sign of, maybe I should just actually extend these and make a couple of songs out of them finally. And then Henning actually had this first songwriting course that he did, this 4-piece monster course, and he asked me if I want to check it out and if I want to make a video, he would really appreciate it. So I made a video for it, and I found the course really interesting. Checked a couple of many minutes, actually, I think hours of all the lessons they did. And that kind of inspired me. Okay, this is the moment. I don't have any time. I don't have money saved up for this whole thing, because it's gonna cost if you ask other people to do things for you, play drums, mix, master, all those things. But I will start right now, today, and that's exactly what I did 2 years ago in, I think, April, May. So when that video came out, and the next day I started sorting out the ideas that I wanted to use, the riffs, the licks, the whatever, and then started making songs out of them, one after the other.
So it's been basically a 2-year process, pretty much exactly, to go from starting saying I'm going to do it until I'm sat here with the vinyl in my hands.
You're the best, by the way. Thank you so much for buying one.
Yes, hey, everybody should buy one. I don't know if you've sold out of the vinyls already, but
no,
I'll put links if you can still get them, of course. And you can listen for free on Spotify and other streaming sites. I'll put links to everything. But anyway, listen to the record if you haven't, of course. That goes without saying. So
thank you.
You said the day after you got the idea, you started kind of putting down what kind of riffs that you'd like to flesh out into songs. So did lots of the songs on this record come from musical ideas that already existed? Did any of the songs come totally fresh from the inspiration of saying, I'm going to do a record? How did that happen?
No, actually, I had way too, and still have way too many like riffs or like 1.5 minute long song snippets, like even 2 parts, like maybe like a verse and a chorus or something, or like a part A, part B. I have so many of those. I still have like 30 or 40, and I had much more. A lot of those were used in these songs. So if you watched all of my videos and remember those songs, you will recognize a lot of them, and some on the album. And what I did is that I took a riff, right? So that was like this one section of a song that I felt like, oh, this should be longer. This could be an actual song, and try to match it or pair it with another snippet from another video. And sometimes that worked, which was useful, of course, because then immediately I had like the skeleton of a song. I had 2 sections. All I needed is vocal lines and maybe like a solo section or an intro part or whatever. But a lot of those riffs, guitar parts, or chord progressions were intro songs on the channel. But of course, a riff is not a song. So even though you will recognize like the first song, that melody, I also and Guillaume also played that way too often in numerous videos. There's been an intro lick or song snippet for a fuzz video that I did years ago. That's why it's a fuzz sound, the first riff on the album. And I used the same pedal as what I used back in that original video, because that's the sound, that's what made me write that riff. But that riff is not a song. I had to figure out what to do with the verse, how to carry on, how to build it up, how to make the rest that I will write worthy to that thing that I enjoy playing that much, that one riff. And especially how to put vocals on top of something that is already very melodic but instrumental. It's like you can ruin a lot if you extend or overthink stuff too much. So that was the big challenge. Yeah, I wrote a lot of stuff, but a lot of the riffs were already written and in many times used on the channel.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, there is, of course, that challenge of turning a riff into a coherent piece of music, as you say. If you listen to kind of some modern, let's say progressive metal as a genre. I mean, the phrase riff salad is now quite popular to describe music where it's like one amazing riff after one amazing riff after one amazing riff. And it's great to listen to from a guitarist's kind of almost a sporting perspective, but it doesn't lead to kind of a piece of music that's going to stick in your head. So that's one challenge that you will have had. But the other one, I think, which I'd like to know about is kind of the vocal side. You're known as a guitar player, you're a fantastic musician, but you're not known as being a vocalist. You know, you're Kris Barocsi, the guitarist, not the amazing singer. But on this album, you're doing basically all of it. You've got some guests, of course, on the record, but you did the vocals, you wrote the lyrics and so on. How challenging was that process?
Quite challenging, to be frank. I sing for as long as I play guitar, probably even longer. I always had, some sort of singing in my life. I used to be in in the choir in high school and before that even, and I've been the backing vocalist in all of my bands. I had a few songs in my cover bands here in Germany, like those top 40 bands, and sang Wonderwall and Green Day and Volbeat and whatever, like a number of stuff that worked with my voice, but I never enjoyed it that much. I never felt like I am too good. I always sounded to me like, oh, it's a guitar player that can kind of sing. Cool. It was never like, oh wow, I want to hear that person sing much more. Like if I think of a singer, I think of Miles Kennedy. I think of those people who are like Joy Landreth, like people who can express themselves on such a level that that causes goosebumps, and I could never do that. So I never felt like, oh, I should sing more. I should let the world know that I'm a singer too. But this time with the solo record, I felt like I know really good singers, of course, back in Hungary, old friends who also offered their help here in Germany, worldwide, because of all the YouTube friends and all the friends in the industry. But it's always a struggle to get a project like this rolling and get people do what they promised to do. Some are very quick and reliable. Some will say yes and then never come back to you ever again. And it's all right. There's no bad blood. It's what it is, And I didn't want more of that. So I felt like, hey, these are my songs. I am working on them. I write the melody. If I can, I will sing them. And then at the end, I asked my wife, who is an actual singer, like, hey, babe, you want to sing on the album? I know you have a different style. She doesn't love all my things that I write, but she liked the songs a lot, which was a nice feeling, of course, and made me really happy. But with this song that she ended up singing on, she felt like, oh yes, awesome, I really want to. So now I feel bad about only having one verse and half a chorus for her. If I ever write a record again, I will definitely ask her earlier to have like a full song at least or something. But yeah, it felt natural to sing myself, even though I still don't like. If I had to play shows, singing and playing my own songs, it would be one of those moments like whenever you try to play and sing John Mayer stuff, you realize how impossible it is. The timing, the phrasing, to do two fairly simple stuff. Like his licks are not super hard to play. It's really hard to play it that tasty, but you can play it. His singing stuff, yeah, well, if you have that vocal range, you can sing it. Try them together. It's a disaster. It's terribly hard. Some of my songs ended up being like that. So I tried to do both at the same time. Like, oh, okay, this would be something I have to train, like actually practice.
Yeah, I would be wondering, is that something to do with the fact that you wrote the music and the vocals and the vocal melodies separately?
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of acoustic folk stuff. For example, someone like The Tallest Man on Earth, who is like a modern version of Bob Dylan or whatever. Well, that's a bit of a big kind of jump, but he's doing a lot of finger-picking stuff really fast, and he's singing in time to it, and it is very difficult to pick that up. But I always imagine if you were there writing the song and the words and the melody came at the same time as you were playing it, it slots more naturally into place. I'm guessing that John Mayer would be doing the same thing, and so it's totally natural for him to do that. But with you, I think you probably already had the instrumental tracks and then you put vocals over it. Am I correct there, or am I talking nonsense?
Yeah,
that's
100%.
right.
Yeah. So, with John Mayer, it's hard to tell because the dude is a genius, even though some people don't like him as the the person because of his ways, his style.
Yeah.
But he is like beyond what most people think in terms of musical talent and just capability. But yeah, I think that's mainly the reason. I had guitar parts already, and then I was noodling and then coming up with vocal melodies, which in some case, in most cases it works. It's fine. It's just that there are some riffs that were existing already, and then I put vocals on top, and then I figured, oh, this simple sounding verse part with like finger picking is not hard, but singing over it makes it all of a sudden like 10 times as hard. So yeah, that's probably the reason that I had the guitar first and then came up with the melodies after. Yeah,
interesting. And I guess the other side would be, could you imagine that it would be weird to have other people singing your lyrics on a record? Because to go back to the ego, these are your words. It's about what you think. And, there are professional songwriters out there who write for pop stars and so on. But do you think it would be a bit strange to have guest vocalists in singing your words and you hearing those, but it's your brain who came up with the words themselves?
No, actually, if singers wanted to try it and would do it, I would find it amazing. No. I don't have any issues with that, honestly. As long as the singer feels okay with what the lyrics are and feels okay saying those words and, being associated with a song with those lyrics, I am totally fine. No, not weird at all, actually.
Okay, cool. That's cool. And in terms of writing, I guess the other question I would have had is, you've already said a lot of the songs came from the riffs that you've already created for guitar-based videos. Do you do much writing on an acoustic guitar as well, or is it predominantly electric?
It's predominantly electric, and usually sounds inspire me. So there are musicians I know. For example, I used to be a huge Opeth fan. Heavy, pretty dark, Nordic, progressive, dark metal. Some growling vocals and some clean vocals, a bit of a 70s Led Zeppelin inspired stuff, but the root is like black metal or like whatever you call it, death metal, whatever. It's really dark. And Mika, the singer and songwriter, always said that he always writes songs on acoustics in his living room or whatever room. I'm like, wow, I respect that. I could not do that because sounds and the way the strings feel inspire me to go different directions on the fretboard. So if I have a melody in my head or just noodle around and find something inspiring, then the way the instrument sounds and feels makes me go, in a fiddly way or makes me go up on the neck or not because it's too uncomfortable to play it there. It's like, if I write songs on acoustics, it'd be a lot of finger picking and a lot of first to fourth fret stuff,
Yeah.
And which is awesome. It's amazing. It's just I'm much more interested in the guitar between the third and like the ninth fret. I'm not the top fret, 24th fret shredder at all, but I love the middle section of the neck. That's where the nicest feelings come, the most inspiration comes. A lot of my riffs are like start on the 5th or 7th fret. I barely use open keys. I have a lot of songs in B minor, for example, because I just love, fooling around the 7th fret or 5th fret.
Yeah, so it's your natural position on the board. I guess by the same token, you could transpose those to acoustic guitar pretty well, or stick a capo on there and you're good.
I actually had to do a review on an acoustic guitar a couple of weeks ago, and I played Ego Town, the song Ego Town, and that intro riff that is now also the verse riff on acoustic. And it sounded good. It worked perfectly, even though it goes up to the 12th fret. It's it's a bit of Henriksy stuff in terms of vibes, at least, and it works on an acoustic. It's just something that I not would have written on an acoustic, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds good.
Yeah, I could imagine that would be super cool actually if you did a couple of acoustic sessions. Maybe get, I don't know, someone like Guillaume who's close, maybe another singer in, and do like just a little acoustic trio, maybe someone with a cajon. That'd be great.
That would be super
please do
cool.
that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. So when it comes to the record making process, not specifically just the songwriting or whatever, but the whole process, what were the biggest challenges in going from idea on paper to finished record? And what was harder than you expected it to be?
Well, lyrics, especially because English is not my native language.
Yeah.
That was a very tough one. Also, zero practice. Like, I've never written a word before this album. It was always too cheesy or too random, or just I had something to say. It was 2 lines, and that's it. And then I said it. It's like, okay, and what now? What should I come up with to fill 3 verses or something? So that was the biggest challenge in terms of writing. And finishing up songs, I think it really helped that I chose a method that was literally just, okay, I have this riff, I make a song out of it. And I went from part to part. I had this maybe riff that sounded like a chorus. So I had that. And I tried different things in front of that as a verse. Okay, let's try something chill. Let's try something busy. Let's try something that's full of energy, and maybe that works better. And I worked a song as like a puzzle or like dominoes, and I forced myself to stick to that song until I felt like, okay, this feels good. Now let's put it aside. Let's work on another song and then come back and listen to it if I still like it. But this focus on a single song helped so much, because especially if you have like plans of writing, I don't know, 9 songs as I did, you can kind of jump back and forth and like, I like this riff, let's work on that. Oh no, it doesn't work out. Okay, let's jump on this other song. It kind of makes you lose focus really quickly. So I think that was the most helpful thing, to just zoom in on one song and let it work. If it needs time, it needs time. It doesn't have to be done in an hour or a day or a week. It can take 3 weeks. But stick to one song at a time. So that helped. Lyrics was really hard, and the actual release, like once I had the songs mastered, I was like, okay, and what now? Cover, I don't know, vinyls, no vinyls, CDs, no CDs. How much money do I have? How can I finance it? How many people will buy it? Will even anyone buy it? Do I spend thousands and will sit on 3 full boxes, cardboards of stuff that no one cares about? How much is too much? How much is not enough? Oh gosh. So releasing the album was the least fun, and writing the lyrics was the most tough.
Very interesting. And just to go back to the writing of the songs, how did you know when a song was finished? Was there a moment when you were like, okay, the last piece fell into place, it's done, I got to stop? Or did that not kind of work out that way?
No, it did. Actually, what I started doing, because I also recorded myself, so I had the luxury of being able to demo songs on a level that some would call like an album already. Like if you watch any of my videos and listen to any of the mixes at the beginnings, like those song snippets, at least that sound quality, which is, decent programmed drums, actual bass, double track guitars, everything mixed to where it sounds pleasing to the ear. So I had demos with that quality. So as soon as I had everything in place in a song and I listened to it, it like even with backing vocals, like second lines, which I did a lot on the album, like a lot of second voicings. if it worked, if it made me feel like, oh, that's cool, I want to listen to it again. If that happens, then that's a really good sign, and you should stop right there, because you can fine tune and tweak everything forever, which will not help at all, and you will still not be satisfied even if you did that 20 times. You a year later you still change stuff, but that's all right. Just stop when it feels like, oh wow, I kind of want to listen to it once more from the beginning. Then just stop, put it aside. That's done. Next one.
Then it's done. Yeah, exactly. And when you'd done your bits, it was time to get drums. It was time to get the guest musicians to join in, and I guess they provided stuff from their remote studios for you. Is that how that worked? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Jan, the drummer, he's German, but he lives also like 2.5, 3 hours from here. So I've sent him files. He recorded his parts and sent me his files to then record the bass, the guitars, the vocals. Excuse me, the vocals and everything. So that was the first section. It was a lot of files sending back and forth. And then, of course, the bassists, Julia, who played a song, and Nate Navarro, who played 2 songs. One in Austria, the other in the States. You obviously have to send files back and forth. So we had this kind of agreement to. I send all the stems, all the instruments, separately, and a click track, and then with the same starting point. So they just throw everything in a DAW and line up the beginnings of those files, of those tracks, and they have everything in sync. They can record their part and then do their mix down in solo, of course, with the same starting point, so that there's no issues with, oh, where should I place it on my timeline? It's like super simple. They can do their own mixes. They have the drums, the actual drums that they can play over, the demo guitars, some demo vocals, and the click track, and this gives them all the freedom. So I did that with everyone, and then of course with Guillaume's solo, it was the same thing. He got the track, and he did his solo recordings, sent me that back, and I inserted it in the final mix.
Yeah, okay. So a very modern process. What about the vocals? I'm guessing the vocal recording was also the bit where you really had to challenge yourself the most to bring the emotions and to bring the takes that you wanted. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like the guitar parts were a joy. All the bass that I recorded myself were the coolest. I love coming up with bass lines and trying to make it sound not like a guitar player trying to play bass, if you know what I mean. That's my favorite challenge. I enjoy recording bass and writing bass lines even more than coming up with guitar solos or whatever. It's just such an inspiring, exciting, I don't know, little kick. And vocals, that's a different story. I felt very insecure, of course. I always waited until, like, I recorded here at home with my mic. And I have a nice mic and a preamp. The room is treated. You can't not see most of it. You can only see this acoustic element, this panel. There's one more next to it, and that's where the reflections get cancelled from my monitors. There are bass traps here and there, and like stuff on the wall. The whole room is treated, and my whole ceiling is full of like this absorbing material. So the whole room sounds great. It's really dead, but not in like a claustrophobic way. It's a very controlled room. So my mic that you will hear when you get the recording is like, what is that, 60 70 centimeters from my mouth, and it sounds like it was an inch away, because there's zero reflections or like ping pong delays and everything. So I was very comfortable recording here in this room. I had the mic here and I started doing the stuff, but I always waited until the family was out of reach so that no one hears me trying 1,000 times. I also re-recorded a lot of stuff because I just don't have that experience and that confidence when it comes to vocals. So that was a tough part.
Yeah. Did you have the thing that I know many singers also get? I mean, it's been the same for me when I've heard vocals recorded back where you're like, that's my voice. That's what I sound like. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. But I've recorded many things over the years. I was just really worried that I find it as terrible as I usually do. And that's what I try to avoid. I recorded parts as long as I felt like, okay, I don't feel ashamed by hearing that, right? I can live with other people hearing this. I'm still not sure if it's like, if it's something people will accept even or like at all, but it's something that I don't feel ashamed anymore. So that was my goal to, just get as far as I can from like the, oh my God, this is terrible, deleted, to like, okay, that's fine, that's okay.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And I have to say, I'm going to give you my opinion now. I'm just one guy, and I know you personally. We've known each other for quite a few years now. And when I found out that you were doing a record, I was really most interested to hear the vocals when I knew you would be the lead vocalist,
wow.
because I didn't know you as a lead vocalist. And when I heard the record, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. And
oh, really?
your vocal style for me, it again, because I know you as a person, it just fits, because you're not screaming, you're not doing metal kind of vocals. You're a super chill guy to know you, to talk with you in a standard way. And I would say that your vocal qualities are very kind of conversational in a way. And it's a very personal sort of thing. Like, you're never going over the top, but at the same time, there is emotion in it. And I can get that. So I think it worked really, really well. So kudos from me. I think you did a great job on the vocals.
Oh, thank you, man. I that makes me really happy that you say that emotions come through, because that's usually my problem with myself. It's not that I don't hit the note, I hear the notes. That's why, if you bend a guitar, you also have to be able to tell if it's the right pitch. So it's not about, do I hit the note? It's about, does it sound like a robot? Does it sound like someone who cannot express himself? Or does it sound actually human in a way? And that's, I think, the hardest thing. That's what really good singers do really well, and I usually feel like I don't. So I'm really happy that you say that some emotion comes through. It's I still feel really insecure and really weird about it, but I also was sure that I do not want to do an instrumental album, because I don't listen to music like that. I don't get inspired by music like that, so I felt like, no, it has to have the same kind of vibe that I would love to listen to. And even though I don't have a very strong voice, I don't have that scratchy rock voice, I don't have the smoky jazz voice, I just have a voice, but at least I don't fake that. Like, I sing it the way that it comes naturally. I sing the words because I mean the words, and that's all. I don't want to try to be more than I am, and it's good to hear that it comes through. I've heard, of course, critique. Some people wrote comments like, yeah, well, music is nice, I like it, the guitar sounds great, vocals, yeah, well, it's a little flat, but it's all right, it's cool, thanks. So and I felt like I could feel offended now, but I really am not. It's like, that's exactly how I feel about it. So yeah, cool.
Music is always going to kind of draw opinions and emotions from people. And if people have negative opinions, again, with my personal music as well, like if someone doesn't like it, I'm much happier than if they say, oh, it's okay, I don't care. I'm much happier if they like it or don't like it than they're kind of ambivalent about it. Because I think the worst thing you can do is make an album of elevator music where everyone's like, oh, this is nice, I would have it in the background, but I just don't care. So that's the way I would look at that. And you've got 9 songs on the finished record, right? But you told me you had, was it 30 to 40 other ideas? How did you get to the process of choosing which 9 would make it to the record?
I was ice cold. I just listened to all those riffs, one after another, and did like a priority list. Like, whenever I came back to a riff or a part, the second time I felt like, oh my God, this has to be on the album, then it jumped on the top. And as soon as I had 8 or 9 or 10 of those, I'm like, okay, well, these need to be on there, and if I can combine them with other riffs that are on the list, cool, then those get a chance too. If not, then I just work on these and make these full songs, and that's it. Just literally going back and forth between ideas until you find a few that just feel so good that you don't care if you wrote it or anyone else wrote it, you just love listening to it. And like ignoring the fact that it's one of your ideas, it's just like, oh, that's cool, I love that, it grooves, or it's beautiful, or it's interesting, or whatever it is. Those need to be there. So just put those on the top and focus on those and ignore the rest for that time at least.
Yeah, and of course now you've got space for a future double album to come out maybe, and there's always time for that. Exactly. So when everything was recorded, it then became, I guess, the admin part of the process, kind of the idea of deciding whether you were physically going to release it as a vinyl. Talk me through that process. You've got an album ready to release. How did you release it?
Yeah, that was the toughest part, because you want to treat your songs right. You want to give them a chance, right? But in my situation, I want to go on tour for years, supporting bands and spending thousands of euros on tour managers that will make, like put me in those supporting positions, because that's what young bands do. They spend a lot of money on supporting positions and supporting bigger bands to get an audience, and just get the word out there. I don't plan on doing that, and my life doesn't work like that right now, and also I don't have the budget or the management. So it was like a tough in between. Like, I want to give the album the best chances that I can, and the best, like I can give it all I can to reach as many people as possible. But also, it's just a record. It's just my songs. It's my love project, but it's not something that will be my career from now on. So it was a tough in-between kind of situation, and that's why I went for a distribution company that took care of a lot of the bureaucratic things that are disgusting and tiring and confusing, and it's the worst thing for a musician to deal with. So they took care of that, which cost some money, but wasn't that terrible, actually, which means also uploading the songs to all the online stores, like where you buy MP3s, and also the streaming platforms and everything. And I decided to go with vinyls, because even though CD might be more of the... It's really tough to decide, actually, what is more relevant. I think vinyl in the last 10 years has a clear and huge comeback. And I also actually realized that I don't have a single unit, like any electronic device in my household, where I can put a CD in. No, that's not true. I have a PlayStation. But why would I put a CD in a PlayStation? It's like, what? So I felt like, that's interesting. CD is kind of out, but I also know that there is a generation, it's hard to tell which exactly, I think 50 plus, 50 to 70 maybe, who probably stick to CDs and will stick to CDs forever. But the rest of us only do phone thingies, Apple CarPlay and Android, blah, blah, or vinyls, because it's retro and it's so different than the digital world. So that's why I went for okay, if someone wants the analog experience, we'll probably have a record player, or if not, we'll maybe just wait for those few records that inspire them to get a simple record player for their stereo. And it's like that's what I do, and that's what I would also want to offer to people, even though that's the more expensive version. Like having a couple of hundreds of CDs printed, it's a few $100. If you want 100 or 200 vinyls made in 180 gram high quality vinyl, that's going to be thousands. So I swallowed that and went for it, because this might be the only record I ever do. I don't know yet, but I wanted to give it a chance and wanted to have that,
Yeah, and I'm super happy that you did. Like, I'm personally a huge fan of vinyl. I collect vinyl records by all of my favorite bands, and I'm someone who, I guess it's old school. I try and support the bands that I love by buying their stuff, going to shows and buying a shirt or buying a record or whatever. Because these days, from streaming, as you know, the money that you make from that kind of thing is absolutely kind of pathetic compared to what you could with records. But there is a physical experience that you can have with all of the senses if you get vinyl, or if you get a CD, you get to physically hold it. Then there's the pleasure of taking it out of the packaging, putting it down, dropping the needle and letting it play. And there is that intense pleasure of closing your eyes, hearing the needle drop and that little crackle, and then letting the whole album run, listening to all of the songs in a row. Okay, you flip the record over halfway through, but it's like, it's a whole different experience. And this is a different interview, a different video, of course, but like, you know, with Spotify and streaming sites like that these days, you'll pick a song that you like and you'll put it in a playlist that you like or whatever. You won't listen to a real album, but listening to an album, you get this whole kind of story. So I'm super happy that you did vinyl, and I think it was a great idea, even if it cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm also, I wouldn't change a thing. So right now, in hindsight, it's still it's the thing. I stand by it. I will probably want to make a few CDs for those people who complained even and said like, oh come on, no CD. That's my jam. I'm like, sorry, not this time. But I will probably make a few so that those people who really want a CD can get one. But even the vinyls, like I've heard people from overseas, from the States or Canada, saying like if they want to buy the record on vinyl and order it, there's only this Amazon like marketplace store where they sell it through. It would cost them like $90 or $100 because shipping is so expensive, and maybe the tariffs even apply. I don't even know, but shipping is really expensive. If you ship stuff overseas, it's okay for the UK. It's perfect for the EU. It's I don't think it even costs something. But as soon as it goes overseas, it's ridiculously expensive. And then I felt like with a CD, it feels even more weird to have all that trouble, because with a vinyl, it's at least it is a part of a collection. I don't know. To me, it's a vinyl is on a different level. But this might be just a personal thing, because I know someone who is like the most serious CD collector and has all the 24-bit Japanese versions of all the Pink Floyd albums, and those are worth 5,000 euros or something. Like that's a thing. I don't mean anything by that. It's just that to me a vinyl feels more special than buying it on iTunes or getting a CD.
Yeah, and like, I love the vinyl listening experience, but actually you don't need to listen to the vinyl that much, but it is for me, it's the physical sensation of having it. I have the same thing with guitar magazines, for example. I love to read the magazine. Then of course in future, when I'm walking around, or if I'm kind of in the car or whatever, I can listen to the MP3s or the streaming versions of it. But like just having the vinyl, for me, there's a great kind of sensory joy out of owning that. So that's where I come from.
100%.
There. Yeah.
And also, let's not forget that whatever you purchase, even like you buy a movie on whichever platform that allows you to buy stuff, or buy an album, you should read the text, the small printed text. It doesn't really belong to you. The right to watch it whenever you want to, as long as they offer it, as long as you have your account, as long as blah, 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 is yours. But you don't actually own that. That's the crazy thing. I mean, who cares really, right? But if you really think about it, it's weird. Like having, I don't know, if I buy a guitar, I want to have the guitar in my hand forever. I paid for it, it's mine. End of story. Same thing goes for a record. If I want to have my favorite band's records, I know that CD is going to play for as long as I live, or that vinyl, if it doesn't break, is going to be perfect forever, And that's just, I don't know, there's something about it, yeah.
And it's yours. Yeah, again, this is a different topic that we go down, but like I read an article the other day that was called something like, by 2030, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And it was talking about the idea that with these digital subscription services, like we rent things and we don't own them. And again, like being able to buy a vinyl off you, and I was able to do the personal experience to literally buy it off you and give you money into your hand for it. Like that's an old school thing that you just can't replace. And this vinyl is mine for as long as I shall be on this earth, which is hopefully going to be a long time. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I only sold out a handful of vinyls, right? Like maybe 20, 30. I don't know exactly. I will check all the things and count everything together, but it's really just a handful. And I checked on some streaming numbers, and it's in the thousands. And you're like, okay, that's much more relevant, obviously. And I don't even have like the iTunes store, sales, whatever yet. I don't know if anyone bought it and how many people bought it. But already from streams, we're talking thousands. And it's weird how I'm much more excited about giving you a single vinyl, than seeing a big number after like how many people streamed it. It might be very stupid. It's probably very unreasonable, but it's just a different experience. If someone says like, hey, I bought the vinyl and I love it. It's on my record player, I don't know, for 2 days now. And I'm looking forward to come home from work tomorrow and put it on again. That's where I could cry. It's beautiful, right? I don't know. It's a different experience. It's much more personal, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. In terms of the songs on the record, then, which is your favorite? Which one turned out the best, or can't you choose a single one?
That's the question, right? Which of your kids is your favorite? It's a fair question, though. There are songs that I don't listen to the songs because now that much, obviously, because I worked on them for 2 years. There's a point where it's like, okay, I had enough of it right now. I might listen to them in half a year again. But if I do, I enjoy Shelter and Curse most. Delight, which is, I think, my favorite song on the album, the last one. Mm-hmm. And I think This Dawn. Oh, and Shelter, was it Living Your Dream? The funky one, the faster one where Guillaume plays the slide solo.
Yeah, Living Your Dream is probably my favorite also, yeah.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
So those 4, I think, are my favorite. It's hard to tell why exactly, but and this might change, of course. I also really like Ego Town. The first song, of course, is a very personal lyric as well. Forever Bound. Yeah, I love all, of course, but I love enjoying the songs just for the sake of listening to the songs and ignoring the fact that it's, maybe written by me or whatever. That's This Dawn, Living Your Dream, Shelter and Curse, and Delight. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And during this whole 2-year process, you've done so much, the record is now there, but is there anything that you've learned during the process that you would do differently next time if you were making another record?
Maybe timing, like not in terms of how I made it, like my timing, but like how to deal with the guests. I think I would do that a little differently and give them a bit more time to work on their parts, because it was usually like, okay, so right now we're that far that you can record your parts. Can you do it in a week, please? Because everything stands still until you're done, and we can continue work. It's like, that's not ideal. So I think I would organize everything in a way that those who will play, drums or bass or guitar or whatever, or sing, have, a bit more, a wider time span, and I can work on other stuff during that time, and they don't have to be, pushed. Because with Nate, it was also a tough period. He was moving from up here in the US to down there in the US, like insane times, and I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry that it's right now, but can you do it until next month maybe? And he was amazing, super quick, but I felt really bad about the timing. I would have felt much nicer to say like, dude, whenever you're ready, just let me know and we'll talk about that song and work on other stuff. But it was not how I organized it, which was on me. So that I would change. Also, I would probably maybe start doing singles before the rest of the album comes out. Maybe like to stretch this whole album release thing, which is something that every actual band does. I just didn't think about it and didn't feel like having the energy to do that. To release single songs, like maybe 2 songs, I give them like 3 weeks each, and then the rest of the album. But it was like, especially because of bureaucracy, the whole, registering the songs and the whole copyright thing, that was a mess, and was last moment, like literally the last day. Everything, it was terrible. I hated it. But these things are slow, especially in Germany. So that kind of killed the joy of putting it out. But I would change that, yeah. I would probably maybe try to do some sort of a video clip, like a music video in a way, for like one or two of the singles, and then bring out the rest. That would have probably helped with keeping the whole thing newsworthy for longer than just a week or something.
Yeah, the momentum thing, that's also kind of a product, in my opinion, of the streaming era, right? I mean, back in the day, bands used to release a record, and there would be a single that came out with the record, of course, and singles from the record. But these days, you'll see artists releasing a track every 3 weeks or every month on Spotify. And at some point, there's going to be an album with all of that stuff. But it's no longer about kind of, this is my album. It's about, here's my new song. Listen to this nonstop for 2 weeks. And then there's another one. And that's the way it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I get. I just don't mind that. I don't like that at all. And I don't think that those people who would be interested in my music are the TikTok generation. Or maybe they are on TikTok and enjoy that, but it's not their main jam. At least that's how I see it. My songs are kind of poppy and easy listening and not very heavy or extreme in any way, but there's a depth to them. You need patience, because a lot of things are very dynamic, very quiet or relaxed, and then the chorus is like much more in your face. It's not that kind of, quick 1.5 minute TikTok style music that's all exciting, over, next one, all exciting, over. I hate that. So I didn't want to go there. But if you want to be more effective and reach more people, even if those are not TikTok watchers or viewers, it's nicer to stretch it. So yeah, singles should have been a thing.
I think I read somewhere that you need to have a hook every 4 seconds or within 2 seconds of your song starting to make it successful these days. So that can be the next record. It could be just full on, right from the off, smashing you in the face and never lets up. And it just
20-second songs.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest thing. Like, I feel really old even saying this and complaining about this, but it's ridiculous. And I know 20-year-old people who also find this ridiculous. So it's not just a generational thing. This whole, reels where it's split in a way, and there's something absolute random, like a gameplay down here, and then up there they tell you a joke, or I don't know, show you something completely different, random. It's like, do we really have to watch someone playing Minecraft or some sort of a cell phone game down there in order to not swipe away from a 20-second long reel? Are we this messed up? Like, oh my God. Like, I don't know what happened to us, but this is not healthy, I think.
Yep. Yeah, we're old school. That's the way it is.
Yeah,
I mean, you released your album on vinyl in 2025. It's an old school way, but it's the way that I love
that's
as well.
My way of exact. That's my way of showing the middle finger to the world. Releasing a vinyl.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for telling me all about the record. A couple of questions about what's happening next. Will you ever do any tour dates around the record? Do you think you might do one where you play the whole thing through, for example, or maybe some acoustic stuff? Any plans there?
Not right now, but I would love to have a show. At least a show. Like a tour would be kind of tough because of all the stuff. I have my channel, I have the Thomann channel, my main work, I have the family, the house, and a lot of things in life. You know how it is. It's pretty much the same for you. I don't think a tour is realistic right now, but I would love to have some sort of a show. If it's a live stream show or like an actual on location, club show, that's a different story. I think a live stream concert would make much more sense because of obvious reasons. My audience is not here in the center of Germany. It's everywhere. A few people, but like spread out.
Yeah.
So it would make much more sense, but it's a tough thing to do. Like organizing the whole event, getting all the musicians together, having all the gear to have that happen. So I would not say no if I don't know, if Thomann said like, hey, let's do a live session, a 20-minute concert or whatever on whatever channel. I would not say no, of course, but on my own, it's kind of tough to organize it. So not right now, but I would love to do it, and I'm totally open for it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember Thomann, you did like, it was like a gig on that little like pond lake thing out the front of the shop one time. That was an online live stream thing. That was super cool. Something like that would be awesome. Lake.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to do something like that, even if it's again just covers, but like having something like that. Oh man. That was like one of my highlights of my, of my Thomann times.
Yeah, and this is a very cheeky question, I think, but if you are going to make another record, you've already had some amazing guests on this one. But if you could pick maybe, let's say, any 3 guests who would play a solo or provide a vocal or do something for you on your next record, who would you pick?
Realistic or dream?
Let's go with whoever you'd like, and let's manifest it and make it happen. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I would die of joy if Andy Timmons played a solo on one of the songs. Same goes for Joey Landreth, if he sang and played on one of the songs. Miles Kennedy, if he sang and played. Again, amazing guitar player too.
Yeah.
Those would be the dreams. And a little more realistic, I would love to play something with Mick from that pedal show, Dan and Mick. We jammed once. It's such inspiring musicians for me. I'd love to jam with Danish Pete. I mean, what a lovely dude, an amazing musician as well. Guillaume for sure. In every song. yeah. I love friends mostly. Yeah. I'd love to have friends on the album. This is what happened right now again with having Julia, Guillaume, and Nate and my wife and everyone on the record. It's a very personal experience, and I wouldn't change a thing about it.
Awesome. I actually think that the 3 dream picks at the start, I think they're doable. I think Miles Kennedy is the biggest challenge of those ones, but I think Andy Timmons is probably doable, and I think Joey Landreth is I think it's achievable. And I can see you rubbing your hands already at the prospect of like getting those guys. I reckon you can do it, and I really hope that you do at some point.
Thank you that you believe in me. I don't. So I need you to tell me that I should try it next time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was Ego Town. That's the bulk of this interview. So if you wanted to just hear about the record, you can switch off. But because we're Guitar Gear people, I just want to ask 1 or 2 more questions. Firstly, about the guitar gear that you used on the album, and then about kind of new cool stuff that you're using. So what were your main guitars, pedals, and amps for the record, for anybody who wants to know?
Funny enough, I knew that this might be interesting for some, and I knew that I want to remember exactly what I used for which song, which section, etc. So I have a full list of every piece of left and right recordings, because you double track guitars most of the time, for the solo, which guitar, which amp, which pedals, which combination, if it was the aux box or the torpedo, like I have everything noted. For all the 9 songs. I used mostly what you would guess if you've seen me or heard me talking about my stuff.
I'm guessing.
A lot of tellies, but of course many other guitars as well, because I always chose the guitar that made most sense for that section. So for example, Living Your Dream, that's a Strat song. I did use the Tele a bit and the Junior with the Bridge P90 for some sections to double track, but the sound, the main thing, and that riff, that's Strat neck pickup. It's just amazing. But that's the only song where I use the Strat. So for the rest, I used a lot of Les Paul, a lot of Tele. I used the Baum, the Wingman behind me. I used my PJD. I used the ES. Which song? The ballad, Don't Let Go. That was, I think only the ES330 that I have. And it sounds so sparkly that some people ask, oh, it's a nice tele sound. I'm like, yeah, no, that's two humbuckers in a Gibson ES330. So I used a lot of different guitars, of course, because it's fun. But for the most part, there's a ton of Telecaster on there. In terms of drives, I used mostly the Toxic Twins, the cast litter pedal that I overuse heavily, but I also used the ODD, the Warm Audio ODD box. I used Cornerstone stuff. I used, oh my gosh, the Soldano pedal. I used a lot of different drive pedals, but mostly King of Tone and Toxic Twins. In terms of effects, a lot of the Supro tremolo, harmonic vibrato, and I used Univibe quite a bit. The cross devices, Krakenheart, which is a Brazilian pedal, an amazing vibe pedal. I used a lot of Rev amps, the D40. I used even my old Dynamis, the white one that I used before the D40, and I used a lot of the Tone King Imperial, so those amps. And in terms of cabs, I didn't use a single cabinet. All the guitar sounds that you hear are with some sort of simulation. So that's mostly the aux box, and for some parts I use the built-in torpedo of the D40, which is the Tunos torpedo cab simulation and mic simulation. Amazing as well. So those were the guitar stuff mostly. Of course, fuzzes. Oh my gosh. There are quite a few important riffs or recognizable riffs that used fuzzes. I used an old Nick Nitro. It's an SIB pedal, Nick Nitro. It's a fuzz face type silicon fuzz. That's the Forever Bound riff at the beginning. That's the only pedal that sounds exactly like that. So I will forever have to keep it. Also use the Germanium Vintage King by Cast Litter a lot, and also the Formula B. It's an Italian pedal. What's it called? The Fuzz Rangers. I use that quite a bit for example, Shattening Curse, the intro riff for that song. So a lot of fuzzes, a lot of drives, a lot of guitars, a lot of amps, but mostly the Tele, the Toxic Twins, and the Rev.
Yeah, I mean, your classic setup in a way. That's what I kind of most associate with you.
Sorry. And the Mesa. I use the Mesa behind me. You cannot see it right now. The Mark III that I have, it's an old 80s Mesa Boogie, and I use that on two songs. I think 2 songs. That's the rhythm sound in Forever Bound, and that's the everything in Wasting Chances, the heaviest song, the B1 B-side first song. That's all the Mesa. That's the chuggiest of all the songs.
Yeah, very cool. Again, like if you ever have the time, I would love to see a video where you're sitting in your room just going through some of the sounds from the record, just explaining, showing the settings, getting fully nerdy, taking the time that we don't have here to really go through that. So maybe you could do
I will
that
get
at
there,
some point.
I promise.
Very cool. And in terms of gear otherwise in your life, what's going on in the guitar gear world? Anything you're excited to talk about from this year or what's coming up in the future?
Oh, that is a very good question. Too many things, obviously. Oh gosh. Me on a personal level, I was way too deep in recording the album and modding my Junior, refinishing my Junior, to get too excited about new gear, because that just took all of my time. So there are new stuff, and a lot of them are really cool. There's the new Cornerstone Imperium, the new version. It's such a beautiful and great sounding pedal. So that's something I'm really excited about on a personal level. The new, that's not out yet when we record this, but next Tuesday it comes out. So I can show it, I guess. It's right behind me, the Mirage by Crazy Tube Circuits, an amazing dual reverb, very clever patching options and everything, not just for guitar players. It's that's again something that's like, oh wow, I can see myself getting lost in that for hours and hours and hours. So those things, but yeah, as told, mainly I was deep in spraying nitro and aging and doing stuff to my Junior, which is done now. I don't have it here right now because I have it in Thomann studio, but you'll see it. That video is coming out right now when we record this one, so when this interview comes out, it's going to be online already. That's the final episode of
so I can already
the
link to
refinishing
it.
process.
Great. Super cool. And the Mirage, by the way, the Crazy Tube Circuits, you know, it's going to be out when this video comes out. I got to try that at the Super Booth event in Berlin a few weeks ago. And that looks like a fantastic pedal. Really excited about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a studio tool, a synth tool, a guitar tool, whatever. It's crazy. It's super creative.
Yeah. Really looking forward to that. So, Kris, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us again today. Can you tell everybody where they should go to find you and to listen to the record?
Yeah, of course. I think the easiest one is, the spelling is tough, but it's krisbarocsi.com. It's Barocsi. Kris is with a K. krisbarocsi.com. That is where you'll find all the links, really, to Spotify and like all the streaming stuff. Also a link to the vinyl. You'll find the lyrics there if you want to read them, because there's no booklet. So I figured I need a space where I can actually share the lyrics in case someone wants to read it. So that's there. Also previous releases, some background infos, bio, etc. So I think that's the easiest thing. Or just YouTube, just Google Kris Telly. You'll find me, I think, at this point.
Yeah, you're the top result there if you search Kris Telly. Brilliant. Thank you very much again.
Such a nerd.
Yeah. Links to everything are going to be down there, so check out Kris if you haven't already. Ego Town is out now, and it's a really, really decent record, so go and give it a listen any way you get the chance. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. There's a really old interview with Kris on this channel as well. If you want to hear some kind of 2 or 3 or even 4-year-old conversation, I'll link to that too. But that's been it for today. I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.